We have all heard that past performance is not a great indicator of future performance. Actually, the law says you have to say this with every mutual fund ad. So you say the past performance is not an indicator of future performance, which is true. Now, take your case that you are new to the world of investing, or you were new to the world of investing at every point in time, and you did not know that you were seeing the charts managed by a manager. You don't know the name of the manager, you're just seeing the data. So you have been seeing the data from the year 1990 to the year 2000. The performance of the fund manager has not been good. He has terribly underperformed the index. He's a value investor. And you look at the charts and you say, oh, this is not a good fund manager, he's not managed it well, and he's been a value investor, and every news item is screaming at you saying value investing is dead, book values don't matter, valuations are dependent on the future earnings, right? So everybody is saying the value investing is dead. I mean, not just in a coma, but it is dead. So value investing doesn't make sense. You have to go by footfall, you have to go by eyeballs, you have to check all that. Cash flow is irrelevant. Valuation is a new game because they're all growing at a fantastic 24% per day, per month, whatever, right? So that is a time when you're being bombarded with all this, and you're given a chart of a fund manager who has terribly underperformed the index. So would you choose the index, would you choose some other fund manager, or would you choose this value investor? Good chance that you will not choose the value investor. So what has happened is 1990 to 2000 track record makes you feel like I will not touch this guy with a barge pole. You don't know the name of the fund manager, you will know it at the end, but you don't. So then you say, okay, now your brother comes in 2010 and he looks at the charts, maybe by the same fund manager. He's starting off investing. You have already invested, you have invested somewhere else, you've made money, lost money, you have invested in an index or whatever, you have done something with your money, but you have not invested with this fund manager. So you obviously did not invest in, because you saw the 1990 to 2000 track record, you did not invest, and then your brother was looking at the same guy and looked at his track record from 2000 to 2010. You remember, you were not here, you did not participate in this, and then you looked at the index and you find that this man has outperformed the index by a mile. 2000 to 2010 was fantastic year for this person, and you looked at the charts and you took a decision that it is not worthwhile. But in 2010 your brother is looking at it and saying, wow, this man has beaten it by a mile. I'm not getting into too much of details, but yes, by a mile, right, way ahead of the index. So in 2010 you want to say, oh, this guy is fantastic. The S&P had minus 9.10 and it was the lost decade for the markets, and this man's fund was up by a huge 80% during that time. So yes, there's a huge gap, huge terrific outperformance from 2000 to 2010. So in 2010 your brother said, wow, this is the way to go, I should put all my money into here in 2010. Your brother did not ask you, your brother did not discuss, and you were anyway doing something on your own. So then sometime in 2020 your son came in and looked at the portfolio and looked at your brother's portfolio and said, wow, this is terrible, he's lost money, he's underperformed the index by a mile, right? So you again looked at it and said, wow, this has been a terrible market. It is incredible bull market for stocks. It's been a good bull market for stocks, but your fund manager has underperformed the market by a mile, right? So the market underperformance was 355%, right? Especially since the pandemic began, it was dramatically low. The decision you made in 2010, the one which you were so confident based on his past performance, you realize that it's actually lost money for you, or it has not made as much money as you could have made or you should have made, right? So, and you find then afterwards somebody comes and tells you, look, these charts belong to one man, his name is Warren Buffett, and he's GOAT. He's the greatest of all times. He's done a fantastic track record. So if you take his track record from maybe 1965 to 2024, it is fantastic. But there are huge times when he has underperformed the index, right? So should you be investing with him based on his long-term performance, or should you not be investing with him? Because 2000 to 2010 he did very well, but 1990 to or maybe 1990 to 2000 he did not do well. So based on that, in January 2000 you chose not to invest, and in 2010 you chose to invest. In both cases you lost money. But if you had invested in maybe 1990 with him and stayed on till today, you would have made fantastic money, right? So the advantage in the market is there's no one good way of investing. There are many ways. There is Naren, who has a particular style. Prashant Jain has a particular style. Roshi Jain has a particular style. So each person has a different style. You have to see what works for you. I have to see what works for me. So I'm a equities person. I always also invest in mutual funds, right? So I have to see what works for me. And once you have met all your targets, etc., then maybe you don't even see how much you're making. You do what you have fun with. But using the past performance is not a great idea. Using last 35 years past performance was not a great idea in Japan, because after that for 35 years the market did nothing, right? I'm just saying approximately 35 years. So it is, you look at the past data, you see what has happened, you see how things can change, you see how it's like the waters, right? Recently we lost a friend, was sitting in calm waters, and suddenly there was such a fast pace of water level going up that he was killed in maybe a few minutes, right? If you don't know how to swim, you're swept away. However good a swimmer you are, some of these in cases of these flash floods, you just can't, there is just too much water hitting you, that's it. End of story. His body was brought out after some time. So don't use the past performance of still waters to sit there. If there are warning boards saying water could be still, but there could be strong undercurrents, believe it, right? So the markets will do what it has to do. You have to understand your time frame. You cannot look at a fund manager's performance for 3 months, 6 months, even 2 years. You have to see the philosophy. You see whether it works for you. You see, oh, it's value investing, and value investing is currently out of favor. That's fine. You have to decide whether what will work. You have to also know that value investing can look ridiculously bad in a bull market, but it can look dramatically good in a bear market. So you need to understand all that, right? Thank you.